Hello, and welcome to the weekly wrap with the USA Liberalists. I'm your co-host, Cody, and we're here with Jordan.
No, we're not.
This week, I think you all can pretty much guess what we're going to talk about. First, we're going to cover the Buzzfeed allegations against Trump, which have kind of faded into the background because they were so clearly fake. Then we're going to talk about the topic of the week, which are the MAGA kids and the kerfuffle, I guess, around that. We're going to also talk a little...
If this wasn't happening in January, seriously, that MAGA kid thing would be like the story of the year, but I assume something stupider is going to happen.
Right. It got blown up, but we'll cover that in detail. I got a lot of info on that.
Yeah.
Things just kept coming out and new things coming up and probably stuff I didn't even get to. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Women's March versus the March for Life. They both happened last weekend. And then we're going to cover a little bit about what's going on in Venezuela and the socialist paradise.
Can I start like the Sandwich Makers March and just make it like just completely pro-Jew? Like no matter what, just incredibly pro-Jew, the Sandwich Makers March?
Sure.
I like it.
I'm down.
They're just anti-everything else.
Look, the sandwiches are great.
Yeah, no, sandwiches and Jews are, according to this march, would be amazing. Everything else sucks and needs to go.
Yeah.
I think it's time for Jewish supremacists. That's what really needs to happen.
I disavow. Well, we're going to start off with the Trump Buzzfeed allegations. This story got super buried after the MAGA, the smirk heard around the world or seen around the world.
Dude, I didn't even know what the fuck that was, and I had to have someone actually explain it to me because I saw it the first time I saw it. I was like, "Oh, it's just a silly picture," and then I kept seeing it and kept seeing it.
And so many people were like, "This isn't really a story," but it just kept. Again, it's one of those things where this would not have been a story had not the media reacted so awfully.
Seriously. Like, I remember the first time I saw it, it was like that his picture with the smug ass face and then like a whole bunch of race riot shit happening. And I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, dude, did I like miss something? What happened? And then I find out, no, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It was just a white kid smirking.
Right.
So dumb.
Nothing.
Literally nothing happened except for an old Indian man was like banging the drum and all the other kids were like, yeah, bang the drum, woo.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second.
Prodigies in the background, you can bang the drum, yeah, bang the drum.
But these BuzzFeed remember there was a time before the MAGA kids.
No, I don't.
Right. The big story back then in the Wayback Machine was that BuzzFeed claimed this was on the 17th, so it was just like less than a week ago. But BuzzFeed claimed that they had two unnamed federal law enforcement officials involved in the investigation with Trump on Russian collusion that told them that President Trump directed Cohen to lie to Congress about the Moscow Trump Tower project. So that was that was the whole thing, and this got picked up by the mainstream media pretty quick because they're thirsty for this sort of shit.
This sounds way more important than a kid smirking.
Right. Well, it would be if it were true.
No, I meant the fact. Well, I mean, yeah, okay, they fucked it up. I remember that, but like this whole they like had a story. They accused. Well, I guess they didn't. Like they kind of accused Mueller of having a leak, but whatever. But
Wait,
this whole situation sounds much more important and much more worthy of being talked about nationally than there was a kid smirking.
then children smirking
Yeah, pretty much.
while being called a lot of different slurs by another group.
Well, yeah, but it's black people using the slurs, so who cares?
Well, right. They don't have any power, so it's okay.
Right.
So BuzzFeed claimed that these sources had confirmed that Cohen had confirmed to the special counsel's team, Robert Mueller, that Trump had ordered him to lie to Congress. That was smoking gun that the media has been looking for 2 years, or going on 3 years now.
Yeah, as usual. Like I think there was who was it? It wasn't Kathy Griffin. It was what Joy Behar. That's her name.
Yeah,
Joy Behar that came on live television and actually just said it straight up. No, we're really excited for something to take down Trump, so we will literally jump on anything. We don't care if it's BuzzFeed making up a story. We don't care if it's a kid smirking. We will jump on anything.
Well, yeah, with Joy Behar saying that, which is true. We've been saying that for a long time now. And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying that it doesn't matter if you're factually true as long as you're morally right, which is like one of the most terrifying statements that I think any liberty-minded individual could hear from a politician, right? Yeah, Stalin or Maduro.
I guess Lenin would be more proud. Lenin actually gave a shit about morals. Stalin didn't so much, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, Lenin would be proud. You know, the one that got shot.
No, Stalin would totally be happy because I'm sure there's a Stalin around her somewhere.
Fair enough. Who do you think would be
Yep.
Stalin? Like, if she actually took over, who would be the Stalin in her immediate circle?
I don't know, because I don't really know that much. I try to just ignore her.
I think it would be Chuck Schumer. I think Schumer.
No, I don't think Schumer has it in him. He looks like
Lurch.
He looks like a cartoon supervillain, but I think he's probably more of a soy boy.
Oh no, you know what? Fucking dude, super twist. Dan Crenshaw. Like it turns out that he is actually because he has that eye patch and everything, so he looks like the villain, but he's convinced everyone he's not. So when it turns out that he really is the villain, everyone's like, "Oh my god, best ending ever!" And then we all die.
No, there is somebody on our campaign. They had some tweets from that person. I don't know who it is, and it did sound like a more aggressive. They seemed like they were probably a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, kind of like out there, Antifa, communist. They had that sort of like aggressive, I don't care because I'm right sort of feel to it. And
can I vote for my dictator? Because if I get to vote for my Stalin, I would like it to be Aquaman. You know, the lady that went to the GameStop and was like, "It's ma'am, it's ma'am."
Macho Man,
yes, Macho Man, Randy Savage.
No, Macho Man, Tranny Savage.
Now, I disavow. I can't call her that.
That's the official name. I'm just. That's what she prefers to be called.
I highly doubt
that's her pronoun.
Macho Man Savage.
If not, it should be. If she came out and be like, "That's how I want to be referred to," I'd be all about it. I would forgive her for her little tantrum. Him, her. Anyway.
Yeah, I wonder how long can pronouns be? Can I just like demand that my pronoun be extremely long?
So it takes people forever to use it. Like,
Yes, I want to be called Lord Emperor of the sandwiches, acceptor of all of the sandwiches all females make of the universe. That's my pronoun for everything. So whenever you refer to me, and it's not my name, that's how I need to be referred to.
well, yeah. How often do you actually use pronouns in like when you're talking to the individual?
Never. I want that's actually kind of the idea. I mean, you sometimes use pronouns to talk to the individual, but that's kind of the idea. I want them to have to say that when I'm not there. I want it to take forever to talk about me.
Yes.
So that I get to troll them even when I'm not there, and I just get to know that.
Well, okay. So getting back to the story, the big thing about these BuzzFeed allegations is that the Mueller investigation actually issued a public statement, and they said
they got fucking wrecked.
They said, quote, BuzzFeed's description of specific statements to the special counsel's office and characterization of documents and testimony obtained by the office regarding Michael Cohen's congressional testimony are not accurate.
Yeah, I mean, being more serious for a second, as much as I'm loath to do that, especially in this particular instance, it does raise some serious problems because I mean, Mueller literally can't admit, like, even if everything they reported was 100% true, let's take BuzzFeed's side for a second and say that they're right and that everything they just reported was 100% true. Mueller can't come out and confirm that. Like, it would be a really bad idea for him to confirm that for a few different reasons. A, the leak. B, it means that part of his investigation was just leaked, so that causes problems for the future of the investigation. Because
right.
Let's say Trump actually did do it. Now he knows what Mueller's onto, and he knows where to start covering his tracks. Yeah, this whole thing was just dumb from every fucking angle. BuzzFeed, you can't just go fucking. It's like you're in the middle of a rape investigation and you tell the fucking other people, hey, by the way, we're going to go collect DNA samples from over here in about 48 hours. Make sure to leave it exactly as it is.
Right.
No, you dipshits.
Don't touch it. Don't disturb the crime scene.
Please
I'm just going to leave the evidence here. Well, the crazy part, too, is that BuzzFeed doubles down on this. And they said
it almost makes me wonder if they actually have something, because usually BuzzFeed's like when it comes to being able to report the basic facts. I disagree with their conclusions almost 100% of the time, but the basic facts, BuzzFeed is usually pretty good on.
Yeah, BuzzFeed News gets it right sometimes, but I don't trust BuzzFeed at all.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And so I always take anything they say with a grain of salt, but I kind of take every media outlet that way anymore.
Yeah.
Especially after this week. It's like, no, they're all corrupt. Fuck them. But this time, I don't know why well, I guess they double down because they don't really see any downside to it because we're talking about it. They're getting, clicks and views and their name out there.
We're gonna find out in like 5 months after the whole Mueller thing blows over. Fucking the mask comes off BuzzFeed, and they were on the right wing side the whole time. It was just black propaganda for the past 5 fucking years.
It's the long con.
It's the long con. Like, they've been conning everyone this whole time.
I wonder how much of that exists.
I mean, you got to imagine there's got to be a decent amount of like real black propaganda out there.
I imagine there's some, but I don't think the average person engages in that.
I mean, how many times have we just been sitting in Discord? I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had plenty of times where I've been sitting in Discord talking to other people, and some fuckhead from the alt-right comes in, pretends to be a liberal, and then fucking unveils the mask later on. Or we figure it out or something,
Well, I think it eventually reveals itself, though.
Yeah, I suppose
it would have to be really good to kind of convince everybody.
Oh my god, what if it Would it have to be, though? Think about it. It would just have to be the founder of BuzzFeed that was engaging in it, because all he has to do is tell all of his fucking writers, no, just write whatever you want. No, the crazier the better. Just send it. Fucking go. Opinion pieces, yes. Please. That is the craziest shit I've ever fucking read. Put it out there, yes.
Well, with this story,
He just moves on.
though, yeah. With this story, it also said that Trump supported a plan to personally visit Russia and Putin during the campaign, and that he told Cohen to make it happen. And I, even if that's true, like, it didn't happen. One, and then two, is it's not illegal. I mean, yeah, it looks kind of suspicious because they're accusing him of being in Putin's pocket, but
I think as long as Trump just doubles down on, look, he's my lawyer. I tell him what I want. He tells me how that happens. It's a pretty good defense.
Yeah. He's supposed to know if this is legal or not. That's not my
Right.
job. He's the lawyer.
Right. I'm talking to my lawyer. If I say I want X, he's supposed to tell me, yes, I can do X, or no, we can't do X because of Y, you know?
Yeah. Well, when this story first came out, too, the Democrats obviously went nuts. I know this because I live in a Democrat state. And so, like, my representatives, hashtag not my representatives, the representatives from my state were posting things on Facebook and Twitter and stuff saying there needs to be an investigation. Adam Schiff, the House Intelligence Committee chair for the Democrat Party, he said, quote, among the most serious to date. And he also tweeted out, we'll do what's necessary to find out if it's true. And so there is kind of some wiggle. I mean, he's a politician, so there is some wiggle room there to be like, oh, see, I was trying to find out what's true. But there's also the kind of, he's pushing the narrative.
Yeah. I don't know. It might just be as simple as BuzzFeed just doesn't want to admit they fucked up.
Well, there's no, if they admit they fucked up, they get labeled fake news and lose credibility. If they don't admit they fucked up, they get more attention and more traffic to their site. And so I think they're like, we don't have to admit we fucked up. We can just keep pushing it. I think.
But BuzzFeed has corrected before. Like, it's not like they're, because it's not like it's fucking Vox, you know? They're not that bad. Like, they've corrected stories before. It's not, to BuzzFeed, it doesn't seem like corrections are that big a deal in and of themselves. For some fucking reason, they think they've got this thing right. I don't know why, but they think they have something.
Well, I also dust my tinfoil hat off. I also think that this story was such a flub, and I haven't checked back recently to see if maybe they have retracted anything. But I think
I'll look right now.
This story was such a flub, and the Democrats went in pretty hard because it came across my social media fairly quickly, and there were people calling, "Oh, Trump's going to be impeached. We need investigations." And the tinfoil hat part of this is that when Mueller came out and said that this is not accurate, it made them all look bad. And so the media, in an attempt to cover for this, ginned up this smirking kid MAGA hat story.
Yeah.
That's my tinfoil hat thing. Because this is a non-story.
Ben Shapiro has been saying something similar for a while now, where it's like, look, any excuse they can figure out how to not talk about, the March for Life. Fucking BuzzFeed fucks up a story, please, anything but the March for Life. The smirking kid, anything but the March for Life.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, although it seems like there have been so many major flubs recently, it almost feels like the media is trying to just latch onto anything, hoping that it's real, to cover up from the previous flub, and being able to say, no, let's talk about this for a little bit, and just sort of praying that it's real, so they don't have to deal with the previous flub and just end up going into a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Let's see. There isn't really much more to this story. I don't know. Did you find out if they've changed it or not? I didn't actually look at the original Buzzfeed story.
I'm looking around right now. I am not seeing. I noticed that they don't have any, because the BuzzFeed News actually has like a trending sort of ticker tape thing going on where they talk about the government shutdown, Amanda Knox for some reason. There's a Florida shooting. They don't even have it posted in the front page anymore.
Weird.
Well, I'll keep looking around. If I see anything, like, we can move on to the next story, and I'll just keep looking around while you do that. Oh, wait. How old is this? Hold on.
Well,
this is from yesterday. Oh, no. Oh, Trump's lawyer said there were no Tower Moscow. Who they are? Here they are. Rudy Giuliani claims the Moscow Tower was barely more than a notion. There were no drafts, nothing in the file. Documents obtained by BuzzFeed News tell a different story. And this is from 2 days ago at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Huh.
And it looks like Trump Tower was slated to be the tallest fucking thing ever built. Huh. And looks suspiciously like a sword.
Cool.
Right? Yeah, I'll read through this while we talk about the other thing and let you know if there's anything interesting.
All right, so the next story has to do with these kids. When I first heard about this, it was just images on Facebook that I saw of this kid and this Native American guy, this Nathan Phillips. And I can't remember the kid's name. Sandman. And
Which is an
I
awesome
was
name, by the way.
Right? It's pretty cool.
You fucking elbow drop the media, put their asses to sleep.
And I heard that that a bunch of kids in MAGA hats surrounded him and were harassing him. And now my initial reaction was, oh, like, these are just teenagers. They're being stupid, and they were wearing MAGA hats, and so the media is just making them look bad, and they probably just teased them a little bit, and it's probably not nearly as bad as the media is saying.
When I got to admit, when I first saw the image of him banging the drum and all of the like teenagers in the background jumping around, everybody said that they looked disrespectful. It was like, it might be disrespectful to do that, but it didn't seem like that was their intention. It just seemed like they were having fun, honestly.
Right. There's just a bunch of teenage boys being teenage boys.
Yeah,
but that's boys will be boys.
I'm sorry, 15-year-olds don't have some incredibly well-formed political message surrounding the fucking religious rituals of the Native Americans. Like, they just don't. Look, I'm sorry.
Right.
Not unless they were fucking raised by politicians, which it doesn't seem like they were. So, and even then, how many politicians... I mean, as terrible as this is to point out, how many politicians actually pay that much attention to the Native Americans? Not very many.
Only if they have a large population in their state.
I'm sorry?
If they have a large population in their state, they probably pay attention to them.
Okay, yeah. So Oklahoma probably does, but what I mean is most politicians aren't thinking every day about what the Cherokees are doing, you know?
Yeah.
Again, maybe they should. They probably should, but still, nobody seems to have like a very formed political opinion surrounding Native Americans in general because it just doesn't come up very often. So I really don't think this was the kids actively trying to be dicks to this Native American elder. They don't know what the fuck is going on.
I don't know how much politicians pay attention to this sort of stuff. So like one of the first claims was that the students were chanting "Build the wall."
Fake.
That was 100% fake. Now I've been to like a pro-Trump, conservative, or Republican rally before, and we've never chanted "Build the wall," but I've heard people chant it at like Trump rallies before. But I don't think it's.
I mean, that is kind of the proper venue.
Right. It's chanting "Build the wall" is no different than chanting anything else that Antifa says or other protesters say.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I've heard some pretty interesting chants, such as "pigs in a blanket fry 'em up like bacon," referring to cops from Black Lives Matter. There's no wall, no something, no USA at all from Antifa. That was one of theirs.
It's no Trump, no wall, no USA at all.
That's right. There you go. Like, I'm just saying, every group has their little chants they like to use. And most of them, in my experience, are much worse than "we'd like to build a wall."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for anyone listening, if you're not aware, walls keep out white people too.
Right. Walls don't have morals. It's okay to be a wall.
Wall lives matter.
Wall lives matter. Yes.
I'm just saying, it's not like, even if they had been shouting "build the wall," it's not like they went down to Tijuana and gotten a whole bunch of sick migrants' faces screaming "build the wall." That I could actually say, all right, that's taking it too far, guys. Let's chill out. But they didn't do that. It was a bunch of kids that didn't say that. In fact, a bunch of kids singing their fucking high school anthem to Black Israelites that were calling them the N-word and faggots.
Right. And even if they were saying, or even if they had said "build the wall," maybe they were just telling the Native Americans that maybe it would have been a good idea if you guys had a wall.
Look, I'm just saying, I think we're focusing on the wrong wall. I think at this point, we do need a wall, but we need it in one specific place. If we could just build it around California and Texas to keep the Californians in and to keep everyone else out of Texas.
Sounds okay to me, I guess. I don't know.
Make Texas great again.
I'm all for keeping the Californians in California because they often come to Oregon.
Yeah, I actually need a third wall that's in between Texas and California because ever since California started to suck super hard, all of them are coming here with their stupid ideas because our economy is actually good.
Well, yeah, they're exporting progressives.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking stupid. Like, just stay in your stupid bubble, you assholes. Oh my god, just stay there. You're the ones that fucked this up in the first place. Deal with it.
Well, Northern California isn't too bad. It's just once you get to Southern California and like LA and Los Angeles.
Fine. Some of the Northern Californians can come, but we need fucking limited immigration patterns from California.
We need immigration quotas.
Like, you know what? Mexico, we have the labor market to handle some Mexicans coming in. I'm cool with them. They still need to go through immigration so that they can be vetted, but we can handle more of those. Californians, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can deal with Californians.
Yeah. I'm in Oregon, so I deal with Californians all the time.
And I'm just saying, if we just build a really big wall around the whole thing.
Oregonians aren't big fans of Californians, even though Portlanders are pretty progressive.
All right, so we just need a little wall around Portland.
Definitely around Portland from the rest of the state. If you took out the county that is Portland, I'm pretty sure Oregon would probably go 50-50 Republican Democrat.
You know, come to think of it, we actually need to let
Republicans.
Peter Boghossian is stationed at PSU, so maybe there's still some hope.
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath.
Look, as long as he's still at PSU, maybe those kids can get a decent education. Maybe.
Portland State's not too bad, or when I went there, it wasn't too bad, but we talked about that last week a little bit, I think.
Yeah, but how long ago was that?
I graduated in 2008.
So it's been
10
over a
years.
decade. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot worse. The city of Portland, in fact, has gotten a lot worse. There's more graffiti, more homeless people. It's just
Wait, good graffiti or bad graffiti?
Not the artistic kind of like paint the wall in a cool like motif
Okay.
graffiti.
All right. So not the murals. Not the murals. All right.
The I'm gonna draw some like funny squiggly gang symbol graffiti on anything that's flat.
Okay. Yeah, the lame shit then. All right. Yeah, just the lame shit. Yeah, San Antonio has like a whole bunch of like the really good murals around town. So we don't really have a whole lot of the lame squiggly graffiti, which I'm proud of.
Yeah.
By the way, for any Californians listening, San Antonio sucks, Texas sucks, and you shouldn't come here.
That's not going to keep them out. That'll make them come there ironically.
Ooh, we have guns. Ooh.
Oh, there you go. Now they'll stay.
We like shooting things. Ooh.
The guns will just start shooting because guns themselves are evil. So
we have ghost guns here that magically shoot people of their own volition. Ooh.
So this story with these MAGA kids is kind of evolved as the week went on. So at first, the Diocese of Covington and the Covington Catholic High School, they basically just took it up the ass from the hate mob. And like they said that the matter is being investigated and we will take appropriate action up to and including expulsion. We condemn the action of the Covington Catholic High School students toward Nathan Phillips specifically and Native Americans in general. January 18th, after the March for Life in Washington, D.C. We extend our deepest apologies to Mr. Phillips. This behavior is opposed to the church's teachings on the dignity and respect of the human person. So they totally cucked. They totally.
God damn it! I thought Covington was actually going to be one of the ones that actually stood by their kids on this one.
I'm still waiting for that to happen. Honestly, like who's going to have a pair of balls and be like, no. Like, I know this person, they're a good guy, and they didn't mean anything by it.
It's the fucking Catholics. Like, can I just point that out? The fucking Catholics stand by pedophiles in their ranks. Like, they will fucking run covering fire for their pedophiles, but they won't run covering fire for a fucking smirking kid?
Yeah, I don't know.
Goddamn, fucking get your priorities straight.
I muted my mic. Yeah, so these they totally kind of bent the knee. I don't know if they've changed their stance since then, since everything's come out. But
I'm just gonna hope. I'm just gonna hope with Covington Catholic this is like a PR statement where they're like, yeah, we're gonna look into it. Yeah, totally. Has everyone stopped talking about it now? We're still looking into it. Have they stopped looking? Okay, yeah, you guys are cool. No, it's fine.
Well, yeah, one of the first responses that there was to this was from a Democratic representative, Deb Haaland, and she's the first Native American woman to serve in Congress. And she said, this veteran put his life on the line for our country. The student's display of blatant hate, disrespect, and intolerance is a signal of how common decency has decayed under this administration. Heartbreaking. So, of course,
Dude, even left-wing sources at this point. Even left-wing sources at this point are like, all right, fine, he wasn't a vet. Fine, the kids didn't do anything. Fine, the kids didn't yell, build the wall. Fine, the kids didn't threaten anyone. By the way, they're all still scumbags.
To be fair, I think she issued this statement before all that came out.
I mean,
but still, it's like,
why make this statement then? Like, everybody jumped in on this thing. Everyone jumped in on this thing, making statements and hot takes and condemning and like fucking finger pointing and booing and offering blowjobs for hitting him in the face and asking for fucking names and doxes and just fucking craziness, insanity all over the place because the kids dared to smirk.
Well, yeah, like Alyssa Milano,
who just completely burned all the goodwill that I had for her.
She burned it all a long time ago from me, but
I'm sorry?
She burned anything from me a long time ago. She's been crazy for a while now.
She has, but like, look, when it came to the Women's March, she at least had some consistent principles going on, and then she came out against 15-year-olds smirking. So we're back to square one as far as I'm concerned.
Well, she's one of them that doubled down after it came out that most of this stuff was just lies, because she said that that we shouldn't forget that this was a school-sanctioned trip to protect agast a woman's right to her own body and reproductive health care. It's not debatable that bigotry was at play from the start. So she's
I forgot that she did that.
Her and Deborah Messing. Deborah Messing called them mocking maggots, and she retweeted a statement that said, "Only someone who's privileged would see that face as a smile. It says a lot about someone if that's what they see in the video." And it's just this like, it's not like, oh, this guy did something bad. It's like, this guy did something bad, and he represents all people who are like him. Ergo, all people who are like him, therefore, are bad. This story, like at first, my first response to this story, I just
thought it was dumb.
Right, I thought it was stupid. I'm like, oh, this is dumb. Like, this will go away. Like, and then when it started getting bigger, I was like, oh man, this is weird. What's going on? And then as the media kept pushing the narrative, and it was proven that they were wrong, and then they doubled down, like I got angry. Like, it pissed me off that like these celebrities go online on Twitter, they say, I'll give you a blowjob if you punch how old is he? 17-year-old kid in the face. He's in the 11th grade.
I don't know he's either 15 or 17. I don't remember which one.
He's in the 11th grade, however, 16, 17
years
old.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
He's a minor.
Yeah.
He's not a child. I won't say that he's a child because he is a teenager. I consider a difference there. And then
I don't know. I went to college. Like, it's a bunch of children there.
Nah. Yeah, children to me means like. Anyway, we can talk about that later. Kathy Griffin said that she wanted their names, she wanted them shamed, she wanted them doxxed, and she called them, these fuckers would dox you in a heartbeat.
No proof of that. Like, even because everybody's like comparing this to that time where there was like the other David Hogg and his friends. I don't remember. Right. Like at the time, I don't remember the fucking right-wing rage mobs coming out and being like, I want their names. I want these kids' names. How dare they disagree with us?
Their names were already
like,
public.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck is wrong with Kathy? Seriously.
Yeah, like when people did criticize David Hogg and the Parkland kids, they got attacked by the media.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is deserved. Like, you shouldn't mock, like, you shouldn't say things like, oh, he's got a stupid haircut, or, oh, what a little, insert slur here or something. But you can, if they're going to attempt to engage in a conversation, the public conversation, and push an agenda, they can be criticized all they want. But this kid, it wasn't doing that. He was he was on a field trip, and like, he was at the March for Life, and that's fine. But they weren't criticizing him at the March for Life. They were criticizing basically him waiting for his bus and then just awkwardly smiling. And I remember being a teenager, and if something like this happened to me, I probably would have reacted the same way. I don't know what I would have done. I would have just looked at this adult who was in my face beating a drum, and I probably, if I would have stood there for half a second and not moved, at that point you're committed. You can't move or you look like a punk. And then I would have just stared at him and probably smiled like this kid did, because what else are you going to do? You can't grab the drumstick from him, you can't shove him, you can't push him. I mean, you could walk away, but then the story would be like, heroic Native American veteran stares down KKK white supremacist MAGA kid and he backs down or something like
Yeah,
that.
can you imagine what this story would have been if those kids had actually done anything? Like, I want you, based on what the fuck happened with them doing literally nothing, imagine what the story would have been if they had actually gotten into an altercation with any of these people. Seriously, it would have been fucking crazy.
Yeah.
As opposed to what, I don't know, but whatever. And it's kind of interesting because the left is actually showing us what we're supposed to do in these situations. Like, they're basically giving us the roadmap. Because you'll notice very few of them have retracted. None of them have apologized, as far as I'm aware. Not a single one of them. Because in the way they like have conceptualized the world, you don't apologize, because if you do, that's blood in the water for them, for like continued never-ending criticism. You do not apologize, you double down, you double down, you triple down, you quadruple down, and if that doesn't work, you fucking infinity down and hope.
Yeah, well, never apologize to the mob.
Yeah, that's actually something the left seems to know mostly. Mostly because they fucking are the mob, but whatever.
Well, if they apologize to their mob, it's okay. Like, they just kind of like don't say
Well,
anything and just let
yeah,
it blow over.
if they
And
apologize to those kids, their mob would turn on them, and they know it.
they get a pass if they do something wrong, they just don't talk about it, and then the
Yeah.
media just doesn't talk about it either. But if a Republican or a conservative does something wrong, then it's wall to wall coverage. There's like 1,000 articles written about it, and it's just like, you need to apologize. And people are, I think, taken off guard initially. And so the knee jerk reaction is like, oh shit, I screwed up. I should apologize,
Mhm.
which is like a natural response. Like, it's expected. But then that's just taken as an admission of guilt. Like,
Yeah.
the only reason you're apologizing is because you're guilty. And it's like, well, no, I can say that I'm sorry that you're offended. I'm not
Yeah.
sorry about what I said or did. Um, and there are um, times where an apology is necessary, but I don't
Mhm.
think. I think you have to. Those are rare. Those are few and far between. Um, don't apologize unless you intended to do it. I say, if it was an accident, you don't necessarily owe somebody an apology. I would apologize maybe just to individuals,
Yeah.
and I would probably apologize privately, because a public apology just seems like, I don't know, like an advertisement or like a PR thing. It doesn't seem genuine or sincere,
Mhm.
because I don't know that you can necessarily be genuine and sincere if you're apologizing to a mob, because
Yeah, that is pretty difficult.
it's collective outrage that you're apologizing to. And so some of those people, they don't care, that they don't actually care about what you did. They just hate you because of who you are. And so they're not going to accept the apology either way. They're the ones who will latch onto that apology as an admission of guilt, and then they'll just use it to attack you ad nauseum into the future forever. Um, so some of the
Yeah.
media also started digging into some of these kids, like some of the photos of kids at Covington Catholic High School.
Yeah.
And they found images of blackface. Did you see
Oh,
that?
that's just, yeah, I saw that where it was the fucking blackout game thing, and they're like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, can you believe that they dared touch dark paint upon their white bodies? How dare they?"
right. Well, I was in high school. We had our school colors were blue, gold, and green, and we called it smurfing, where we would wear our
Hmm.
blue pants and our blue jerseys, and so
Yeah,
we'd be all blue. And we had blue out games. We didn't have blackout
yeah.
games, but it was a thing. Like, I knew about it. Well, these journalists probably never participated in any sort of competitive sport, so they wouldn't
Hmm.
know. um,
True.
so there is that. And then um, Trump actually responded to this whole thing, and he said, basically that they were treated unfairly, um, with with early judgments proving out to be false, smeared by the media, fake news, um,
Hmm.
and that he said there was new footage. Um, and I think he got this right here when he said that Nick Sandman and the students of Covington have become symbols of fake news and how evil it can be. Like, I don't know if that was a tweet or a quote, but that I think was spot on. Like, that was perfect. Um,
Yeah,
Trump, for me, Trump rarely has like a perfect moment or something where he says and it's just like he nails it. Um, but that I think is people I think need to look at that and think about it, especially people in the media, because these are teenagers. They have families, they have brothers and sisters, they have girlfriends, they have, um, you know, moms and dads. They're going to colleges, they're applying to jobs, and now because of the media, they have all this hatred. They're painted as some sort of bigots, and now they're trying to malign this school, this Covington Catholic school, as terrible, evil, racist bigots. Um,
yeah. It's pretty dumb.
when I was even talking with a guy at work today, um, him and another guy were talking about climate change, and the other guy didn't really necessarily believe in it, and one of the other guys did. But then we eventually got to Trump, and he said that, well, Trump is just basically Hitler, and I'm like, how? And I'm like, you either one don't really know who Hitler is, or two, you don't really know who Trump is. And so, and that's not the first time I've heard that. Like, I've mostly heard that online from people, but I've heard it twice in real life where somebody unironically and legitimately said that Trump is basically Hitler.
I mean, yeah, they clearly have no clue what Hitler was about. I mean, I can't imagine that you seriously understand Hitler and that you're looking at Trump going, it's basically the same thing. No differences here. What am I supposed? Is there supposed to be a difference? Because I don't see one. So dumb.
Well, right. And I think they're just like, well, he's just waiting. Like, Hitler didn't take power immediately. He took his time. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't see if Trump were to be Hitlerian in some sort of way. Do you think that you could actually call him Hitler and not get a knock on your door later from the police? It's like Trump has done more to um, cut back regulations and attack. like these corrupt institutions and expose how corrupt they are than any president ever. And I'm not saying it's all because of Trump, but like it's Trump and like the invention of the cell phone camera and the fact that everybody has a cell phone and can record things, that you don't have these gatekeepers of news anymore. I've said it before that I think the cell phone camera is probably one of the greatest inventions for the spread of truth and the average person that we've had in the last 100 years.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely great for that. Although it does seem to put people in a position where everybody's exposed to so much information that it used to be, it was difficult to get their hands on. So now everyone's like shocked by all the crazy shit that happens. And it's like, guys, this is actually better than it used to be. You just didn't know about it.
Well, right. Like these people, they think they care about this stuff because they hear about it in the media, but they don't really care or know. Like they're not the kind of people who 30 years ago would have read the newspaper. They're people who would have probably heard something from their friends or maybe watched like NBC or something like that, or ABC. But they wouldn't have read the news. They wouldn't have been as involved in politics as they kind of are now if they're engaged in social media.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to find out like how many of these people have cable, like watch cable TV, as opposed to the people who don't. Because I know the people who probably watch cable TV and don't look on YouTube and Facebook or actually go watch the full video. They just watch the 2-minute clip they see on CNN. I'd be interested to see like how that breaks down and then what kind of ideas people have based off of that. But that's another story for another time. So one of the biggest shockers to me in this whole thing is that on Tuesday, the Covington, the high school, had to close due to threats. Like that's how malevolent, I would say. Now, I don't think the media reporters necessarily intended to be that malevolent. I think they necessarily didn't want that to happen, but it's gotten to the point where these media institutions are so corrupt. And I don't mean like, oh, they're just in it for the money. I just mean that they're ideologically, the ideology matters more than the truth. Or
yeah, I've seen unironic videos where people on the left are coming up to people that, I mean, to be fair, these people are sort of low hanging fruit, but they'll literally just come out and say, it's like, no, my feelings are more real than facts.
Right.
It's like, well, I mean, okay, you can think that if you want, but it's not exactly, we can't, if your feelings are the facts, then how are we supposed to agree on anything? Seriously.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
It's just, to me, it's these people have put getting Trump, hurting the president of the United States, damaging the United States, or hurting white people or hurting men above the truth. Like, to them, that is their priority. And this isn't all journalists. I'm not saying all journalists or even the majority of journalists, but there's enough journalists, and I don't know how many is too many or how many is enough, but it feels like there's enough journalists who don't care about the truth or don't care about honesty or integrity in their profession, that it's all about the clicks, it's all about traffic, it's all about the attention and fame and whatever, the narrative, over any sort of standards or principles.
Yeah,
And
fuck principles.
that's what's made them, to me, that's what has made them corrupt.
Yeah, that when it comes to the Democrats in general, okay, to be fair, not all Democrats are like this. In fact, I think it's probably a minority of them, a very, 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 very vocal minority of them that are going with the "my feelings don't care about your facts." Hello,
Right.
AOC. But I honestly think that's more of just like a narcissistic youth thing. Like it seems like there's just an issue with young people in general right now, especially millennials that have never really grown up, that don't really understand that you have to care about other people's opinions too. And the only way to reconcile two people's feelings as facts is to determine objective facts that you can use it as a substitute for feelings so that you can actually fucking communicate.
Well, yeah, it's this argument was made in the 1700s by John Stuart Mill in On Liberty, when he said that, like, if you censor one person, then you'll never be able to reach the truth, because I think I don't have the exact quote or the exact, but the kind of idea is that we all see things from a different perspective, and so we all have a piece of the truth, and the only way to get to, like, capital T, like the truth, is if we all share our perspectives and find out, like, where it is in common, like.
I'm just gonna sit here looking smug that I came up with basically the same idea as John Stuart Mill all on my own.
You should read On Liberty, man.
I definitely should, but I feel smugger knowing that I came up with a good idea without having to.
There's actually like a condensed or an abridged version, I think, of On Liberty that was done by Jonathan.
I will read it. Like, it's one of the books that's on my reading list. It is.
Well, it was done by Jonathan Haidt, and it has, like, they had like an animator do it. Yeah, and I think it's free too. Like, there's a free PDF floating around somewhere out there.
An animated Haidt PDF? I can get down.
Yes. It's I don't know how many pages it is, but it's got like they had somebody animate, like, the ideas and stuff. So
dope.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Can someone fucking animate Sun Tzu's Art of War? I would actually really enjoy that.
It's on YouTube.
Oh my god, is it?
Yeah, there's somebody, I don't know if there's like a full video of all of them, but they broke it down by, like, chapters or sections, so they're like several different videos, and it's not completely animated. It's kind of like still animation sort of thing. It's pretty cool.
So what you're saying is I'm not getting Dragon Ball Z, The Art of War?
No, but that should happen too.
Can we please just get the fucking artists from Dragon Ball Z to animate The Art of War?
Yes.
Fucking, they did it for A Journey West. Come on.
Yeah, never heard of that.
It's literally what Dragon Ball is based on.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Dragon Ball.
It's like the story that Dragon Ball is based on. Anyway.
So,
yeah.
I think we've pretty much, that horse has been beaten to death. Not just by us.
That horse has been thoroughly flogged.
It's time to put that story to bed.
Actually, we need to have like a meme, like the smug smirk, because to be fair to the people that thought that kid was a smug little prick, that kid does have the best smirk in the universe.
Oh yeah. bar none.
Yeah, like it's a real good smirk. We need to give that dude some sunglasses and make him a meme.
Thug
Just
life.
throw some fucking just throw some thug life shades on it and meme it up. I will be putting that on Reddit any second now. I am opening up Photoshop as we speak.
So these kids, the reason they were in Washington, D.C. is because they were attending the March for Life.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, the Women's March was going on. So compared to the previous Women's March, this was small, but I think this is. I saw that there were roughly like 60,000 people there.
Wasn't it like 200,000 last time?
Yeah, I don't know. I should have looked that up, but it seemed tiny in comparison to what it was the last time around. And so, during the speeches at the Women's March, they came out and they opposed the wall.
Okay, so I did find something from 2018 January from the New York Times. Protesters took to the streets for the second straight year. Do we have any numbers, New York Times? A year after millions of people turned out for the Women's March. Well, if we're down from millions to 60,000, that's quite a difference. 200,000. Hell yeah, high five to myself, self five. Protesters attended the march in New York on Saturday. Yeah. So this was specifically. I was specifically thinking of the New York march then, because I know there was more than one march. But yeah, if we're talking about the same one, then that's down from 200,000, which is down from millions.
That's a decrease of 70%. So they only had,
assuming 1 million. But.
Well, I did the 200,000. We'll take the lowest number you gave me, plus this one that I found. It's only 30% of the people returned, roughly speaking.
Yeah. About that.
They opposed the wall, and so I guess they don't care about women who are raped trying to cross illegally, or the sex trafficking of young girls, but that doesn't matter.
No, don't you understand? If we just let all of them in without checking any of them, that's going to decrease women being trafficked and raped. Duh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
See, I'm glad you get it, you bigot. Good job.
Nope, I'm putting my MAGA hat on right now.
Don't you MAGA me? I'm triggered.
I think it'd be a fun.
Slap that hat right off.
I think it'd be a fun experiment to just pick a month. What month is Black History Month? Is that February?
Sounds racist.
Well, no, I want to not do the same month. I want to do a different month. So, like, we'll just say June. In June, it's MAGA Hat Month. So if you have a MAGA hat,
June is
you
just
have
MAGA
to
month.
wear your MAGA hat everywhere. Or July. That'd be great, you know.
Wait,
patriotic.
Up. Excuse me, MAGA March.
Oh yeah, MAGA Madness.
MAGA March Madness. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, I gotta write this down.
MAGA March Madness.
Where's my cocktail napkin? I'm gonna write this on the back of that. It's not really a cocktail napkin; it's more like a Taco Bell napkin. But hey.
There we go. I found a half decent picture of the fucking. No, they just upscaled it. You pieces of shit. I'm trying to find a good picture of this kid smirking. Am I gonna have to rip this from the video? God damn it! Pieces of. How does nobody have a high quality image of this? Absolute garbage monsters.
You got to pay for that, man.
Fuck's sake.
Damn it, Google.
I found the TYT coverage. Hassan Piker breaking it down.
Oh man, that guy infuriates me so much.
Dude, he used to be the best one too, and now he's like the stupidest. I don't understand what happened. Oh my god.
He's just like that annoying guy at a party who thinks he's so smart and like likes to make snide comments that are funny at first, like the first time you meet him, but after a while, it's just like, dude, like that's your only
Bro, leave me alone.
card.
Yeah.
Um,
TYT doesn't even have a good cam on it. God damn it.
well, I don't think there was really a good photo. It's all pulled from cell phone
Fucking,
cameras.
I'm going to find a half decent photo.
There weren't any reporters there. This was actually semi-spontaneous. So at the Women's March, Linda
Do better than
Cockroach
that.
Sarsour
Uh-huh.
called for the
I disavow.
boycott, divest, sanction of Israel.
I disavow that too.
Yes, 100%. Which goes great with their anti-Semitism. Also,
Does Greg Gutfeld have a good rip of this?
he might.
Let's see.
Also, someone
Come on, Greg.
who spoke at the Women's March was everybody's favorite Democratic Socialist, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I didn't bother writing down anything she said. I just wrote down that she said stupid stuff because that's really all she did. Some of the gems, the chants that they were, now none of these are as great as Build the Wall, but they say things like, "Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like," which to me like that makes me not like democracy, honestly.
It's actually kind of a good chant, though. It's like, tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
It
And
is
just
a
have
good
like
chant.
just have like just on the fucking animation, just have someone putting a fucking ballot in the box. Just really slow.
Just
And like
heavy metal.
yeah, just head banging the whole time, just like slowly putting in the vote, head banging as hard as they can.
Yes, Swedish heavy metal or something. But for me, I'm with the founding fathers here. Like democracy, with the actual, I think people use democracy wrong, or they don't actually
Don't be a bigot.
they don't actually understand what democracy means, or they're actually being malevolent about it. But like to them, democracy just means you get to vote, but you get to vote in a republic too. Because I make that distinction between democracy and republic. I know they're kind of used interchangeably, but I think that's wrong. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
think
there's definitely a real distinction there.
I I do not like it when people say our democracy, and I understand that's petty. That's a little petty. Comes across that way. I get it.
Just a little.
But to me, like it's an important words to me. I I studied English in college. Words are important. The words that we say and use are important
Except for
because
your words. Now shut up, bigot.
they have meaning, and if you're using them and trying to cover up the meaning behind them, then you're essentially lying.
Mm,
Um,
true.
and so democracy is essentially just majority rule, and that's not a stable way to run a government. Because
What? That sounds pretty stable to me.
no, because you're going to get to a point where because the individual is lost in the democracy.
True.
And that's what the founding fathers, I think, they were trying to. They understood that the individual will always be the minority,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think they tried to build a government so that it favors those minorities. Like if you have 51 people in the House, you can block legislation,
Mm-hmm. True.
and so you can stop the 375 people or plus the other 49 people in the House and the president from doing something if you don't like it. And so everybody has to, all the individuals have to agree on something. And I think that's part of the beauty of the American Republican system. But anyway, tangent over. They also chanted "My body, my choice," which I disagree with because it denies the fact that they have a body growing inside them. And then the ever popular "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go." But
always the best one. I swear that might be one of their lamest chants.
well, it's
Like, it really
catchy.
might be.
It's catchy. It's easy. It
I
sticks with
suppose.
you. It's easy to get a bunch of people to say it. But yeah, it is kind of like it's old
Dumb.
hat, stale.
Yeah.
A lot of their chants are, in my opinion, they're just stale.
What are you talking about? Their chants are amazing. Shut up, bigot.
Yes, I am the bigot.
You are the biggest bigot.
Oh man, that'd be great.
If you were the biggest bigot.
Yeah, I could tell all the other bigots what to do and keep them in line.
That's true. That's very true.
Not that I want that responsibility. Or that I'm actually a bigot. That's not true either.
He is.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm the USA liberalist, so no, I'm an individual because we're all individuals.
Huh. So I went online looking for like a sunglasses PNG. Apparently someone like flattened a PNG so the PNG background applies, but it's actually there instead of just being the placeholder. Jesus. Okay. All right. Who online out there right now doesn't understand how the fuck a PNG will hurt someone?
Shrugs.
I've got to fucking clean the whole thing now, you pieces of garbage.
Well,
I actually
also,
like this picture.
so there's an organizer of the Women's March, and she said, "We will be fighting not just to protect our care, but to move towards universal health care, to move towards Medicare for all. We state very clearly in our agenda that we demand an end to war. We demand an end to imperialism. We demand the ERA be added to the Constitution, and we have a lot of demands." And let me put my bigot hat on. I'm like, demanding women. Yeah. Never mind. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to take the Jordan Peterson's advice and be careful with what you say. Well, be careful.
It's probably good advice, yeah.
Even though I'm joking, and I don't think anybody's watching this, but there was a quote in the article that I read. I forget who it was from. I think National Review or USA Today, one of the two.
Okay.
They quoted a 7-year-old. Now, I don't know what you were doing when you were 7, but when I was 7,
Masturbating.
I'm not so much sure that I knew necessarily who the president was or that I really cared. I was more interested in like playing kickball and throwing pine cones at my buddies. You know, good, clean fun. Video games, Legend of Zelda was my jam. But this 7-year-old,
Yeah.
she said, quote, "A lot of people like Trump are being rude and sexist and trying to make sure that men only have the rights to do stuff. It's not fair."
Wait, what?
This is a 7-year-old girl, Oliver.
I think you mean her parents telling her to tweet this.
No, she like this physically came out of her. This is a quote from one of the articles that I read.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So a journalist wrote this quote down or recorded it from her. Now, for me, that's indoctrination, 100% indoctrination. Like, 7-year-old, I'm all for, bringing them out to the protests and teaching them what you want. They're your kids. That's fine. I don't want to be involved in that. But this is like a child. She's never going to be able to vote for this president or not for this president. Yeah. She doesn't really have a say in anything, and she shouldn't because she's 7. And when I was 7, I probably couldn't tell you what was sexist or really what was rude. I knew things that were rude and like how to behave, but I couldn't probably explain to you what those things meant, like abstractly.
That's fair.
And then somebody, her parents, her teachers, both
presumably, yeah,
told her that Donald Trump, the United States president, is trying to make sure that men only have rights to do stuff. Like, think about it. I don't know. I have nephews, and they're like 8 and 10. I could never imagine telling my nephews, look, here's this man, and he's trying to make sure that only women have the rights to do stuff.
I mean, at this point, are we even surprised by fucking crazy-ass parents?
I'm not surprised so much as angry.
I mean, is there even a point? We all know that these progressives don't really reproduce. If we just give it like 50 years, they're all dead.
So, yeah. They can do a lot of damage in that time, though.
Yeah, well, that's what we're for, right?
Well, yeah.
Sub 5.
Well, we need to get more people watching the stream.
Well, I think we're going to have to up the quality a little bit to manage that.
No, it'll be fine. We just need to be interesting. We need both, to be honest.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting.
I'm trying here. I'm telling jokes and shit. Did you hear the beginning of the stream? I was doing great.
Dude, I have fun, so fuck it. Like, if that's all we get out of it, then great. But
whatever, right?
It's fun. It's nice to have goals.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things I thought was they talked to a woman named Vanessa Warble.
Her name is Ruble?
It's Wruble. Warble?
Huh.
Ruble? Anyway, she was one of the...
right. She'll immediately get called a Jew.
Well, she is.
Oh, God.
She was one of the leading organizers of the first march. And she was asked to leave the group by Mallory and Carmen Perez after they confronted her about the roles Jews had in oppressing minorities. And she told the New York Times her religion was a factor in asking her to leave.
Dude.
That seems illegal.
It's a little fucked up, yeah.
I mean, if they asked her to leave because of her religion, that is 100% fucked up, number one.
Yeah, you're asking someone to leave for being too Jewy.
If she made the decision to leave, as opposed to them kicking her out, I don't know. It's kind of seems like a gray area. Because what if your employer says, I hate white people. I hate you, white people. And then you're like, oh, fuck this. I'm not working here anymore. Can they get in trouble? I mean, maybe they created a hostile work environment or something, but.
I mean, white people do create a hostile work environment. Let's be honest. I mean, it's just basically, yeah. I mean,
Well, I mean, if they said white people, it'd be fine. But if insert ethnicity X here.
Bitch, we could invent a new race and they would fucking get more respect than we do. Jesus.
I really don't care about my race, to be honest. It's
Yeah, white
interesting.
people generally don't. That's why we're getting fucking rolled by everyone.
Look, I have a red beard, and no, I'm bald. We are hated. We are a hated people because in every movie and comic book, the bald guy always the villain. Almost always the
Yeah.
villain. And then gingers don't have souls, so I'm persecuted too. Hooray! No, not really.
Oh, dude, there's a genius parent out somewhere. There's on Facebook. There's like a baby that has like balloons tied to all his limbs, and he is having a great time.
That does sound like fun.
I'm sorry.
I said that does sound like fun if you were a baby.
I'm just saying he is having so much fun. That is a genius way to get the baby out of my hair.
So during the same time, they had the March for Life, and they have this march every year, and they've had it since I think the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look. 1974. That was the year of the Roe versus Wade decision, and I couldn't find any numbers. Now I didn't look super hard, but I believe there were like 100,000 or more people there. There were a lot of people there, and every year it's that way.
For the March for Life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, has the March for Life for 2019 posted any numbers yet? I wonder.
I didn't find any earlier this week, but I'm going to admit I didn't really look very hard. But Vice President
It's okay. Amateur fact checker Jordan over here.
Vice President Mike Pence and Ben Shapiro both spoke at the March for Life. And so you would think,
wow, Mike Pence speaking is actually a pretty big deal.
This would be right. You would think this would get more media coverage. Now, I think last year, or maybe it was the year before. No, I think it was last year. Trump spoke at the March for Life, and it got a little bit of. It was the only time the media didn't cover Trump.
That sounds about right.
And there was an interesting contrast that The Atlantic wrote this piece that secular, liberal, pro-lifers were welcome at the march. Pro-life women were not welcome at the Women's March, regardless of their political leanings.
So apparently there's a March for Life app.
Yeah, they have the March for Life. There's a main event in DC, but it happens all over the country. Just nobody reports on it.
I guess you do actually need the app, because God knows you're not going to find anything else about it any other way.
Right. Unless you're plugged into, it's a lot of churches, a lot of church groups participate.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So if you're
like, I'm looking at it right now.
Nico would probably know all about it.
That's true. Why didn't we get Nico for this? Like, he's the perfect person to talk about this.
I asked him, but I think he's busy.
Nico, goddammit.
You need to quit your job, Nico.
Hope, damn it.
The biggest coverage that this thing got was did you hear about the baby Hitler was trending on Twitter?
Yeah. That was the dumbest shit.
Right. And it all got knocked off by the MAGA kids, but the whole...
It's like everyone went aspie for like 2 days and was like, it's such a silly argument to talk. Why would anyone talk about baby Hitler? I don't understand. I've never heard of a thought experiment before.
Well, it was
anything... if you think it's dumb, just say it's dumb, but
anything to not talk about the March for Life, essentially.
Seriously. I mean, there might be some other reason. I think it's a little bit conspiracy-y.
Well, I
So
think
they're like actively not talking about the March for Life, but
I don't think they're all conspiring not to. I just think that they all share in the same ideology where they don't find that interesting.
yeah,
So it's not newsworthy to them. So I don't think they're all plotting like, oh, don't report on it, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think they all are
right.
ideologically aligned.
Well, yeah, none of them really need to conspire because they all already agree.
The board can't conspire. They all already agree.
Yeah, like the Borg don't need to have meetings, frankly.
Um, so yeah, the whole thing with that was for people who are listening or who will listen to this later. For the people that don't know what exactly happened, Ben Shapiro was doing a thought experiment because the question is, if you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? And Ben Shapiro's answer to this was that anybody that's pro-life would not kill baby Hitler. And the reason is because baby Hitler is a baby, and that Hitler, grown-up Hitler, was Hitler. And so what you'd want to do with baby Hitler is to take him out of the home and raise him somewhere else so that he wouldn't grow up to be Mein Führer Hitler, the Nazi Third Reich evil son of a bitch that he turned out to be.
Yeah.
Now, I agree with Ben Shapiro here. Like, I'd never, when I was younger, I probably would have been like, oh, like, what an idiot. I would totally do that. Um, but now that I think about it a little more, and this might be my bias because I actually do like Ben Shapiro most of the time. I do agree with him that I wouldn't kill baby Hitler because baby Hitler hasn't done anything wrong.
Well, I mean, the entire problem with the whole contention of, if you had the opportunity, you definitely should go back and kill baby Hitler. Is it like, are there no other options? Like,
Well, right. Well, that's part of the thought experiment is that you could go back and kill Hitler, baby Hitler.
I'm just trying to imagine someone that fucking goes back in time and sees baby Hitler and it's like, all right, we're going to try everything first before we kill him. First thing we're going to do, colony on Mars. Fucking colony on Mars, and still he somehow ends up back here and is like genociding the Jews. Fuck. Well, what do we try this time? Okay, so here's the next plan. Instead of putting him on Mars, we're just gonna keep him in a ball full of peanut butter for his entire life. Still somehow genocides the Jews. Fuck.
It's just like a Family Guy skit. It's like those. They've done that skit like 1,000 times on like time traveler shows, or
Have they?
Futurama did it, I think.
I just ignore Family Guy because I honestly think their humor's bad.
They did it. Yeah, I used to like Family Guy, but they got kind of lame.
It's mostly their black humor, honestly. Like when it's just like regular jokes, it's not amazing, but it's not too bad. It's when they like do something gross out, and it just keeps going and going
Yeah,
and going and going.
half the episode.
Yeah, and
It's
it's like just fucking Stewie puking for 5 minutes straight, and it's like, okay, look, this is one of those. I don't think. I really don't feel like Seth MacFarlane understands how like gross black humor is supposed to go. It's supposed to be sudden, shocking, and then you move on. The sudden, like that's part of the joke. Oh my god. Anyway, we're not going to talk about fucking Family Guy forever. Moving on.
moving on. So really, I guess we're going to be like everybody else in the media and just kind of move on from the March for Life. There wasn't really that much to talk about, and honestly, there wasn't really a ton of information out there. There were some articles written about it, and then the Ben Shapiro baby Hitler thing was the most covered thing. But really, like when the MAGA kid thing came up, it just dominated the headlines, and everything else was just gone. Nothing else mattered at that point, essentially. Well, it mattered, but nobody was paying attention to it.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm seeing a whole lot of women being featured on the March for Life banner, and I'm just like,
There
huh.
are a lot of women that are pro-life, especially women who have children.
Well, yeah, I mean, like religious women with kids, it seems like are pretty staunchly pro-life.
Well, and there were even liberal, secular pro-lifers there too.
Yeah,
Pro-life women,
yeah,
because the Women's March told them essentially no. Like, if you're pro-life, then you're anti-woman, and that's the narrative from the left. Like today, I don't know if it was
that's a
today.
great way to grow. Shut down your growth opportunities.
Right. Well, did you hear about the legislation that passed in New York?
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah. Like that's got I have one friend who he runs his own business, so he tries not to make any sort of political statements. And when
Yeah,
that came out, man, he made it like he's a conservative guy, super nice guy. He's got, a family, he's got kids and stuff.
yeah,
And he made a post about that because like that just to him that just is so against everything that he believes morally. And
yeah.
I
Just
am
basically no rules when it comes to abortion.
right. I am definitely not that. That
Yeah,
is too far for me. Now I don't personally I don't think that like it should just be blanket abortion illegal because
no, there
there
are
are
situations.
right there are instances where it's acceptable, but nobody can agree on what those instances are. Like I think if the life of the mother is at stake, yes.
Yeah,
But I personally don't think that it should be used as birth control, especially with the options of that we have available for birth control now.
yeah,
Um, with the pill and the morning after pill and condoms and all that stuff,
yeah,
because I don't see babies don't just happen. It's two people making a choice to engage in activity that may or may not result in pregnancy.
yeah.
And so they made that choice. Part of the consequences of making that choice that you have to accept is that a baby could be made. And so I don't believe in it necessarily as birth control.
Well, I think part of it comes from there is definitely a section of the population that seems consistently anti personal responsibility,
Yeah.
just in general. So I don't even think this is about abortion, really. I think this is more along the lines of if I fuck up, I don't want to be held accountable for it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Whether it's financially, whether it's like sexually,
We
whether
call
it's
those people
medically.
socialists.
I mean, yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's any one of these issues. I think it's more like there's a core precept that they're working from that everything else just sort of flows from.
Well, I think it's tabula rasa. It's
Hmm.
that everybody's a blank slate and that culture defines everything about us. And so if somebody gets
Right. There's
pregnant,
no point in holding someone accountable.
right, if somebody gets pregnant, it's because the culture that they grew up in taught them that. And so we should allow them
Yes,
to fix
somehow it's
it.
not their fault. I mean,
Um,
and to be fair, there is like sort of an argument there, but I mean, honestly, the more sensible one would actually be a biological essentialist argument that basically would go something like, um, everything you do is dictated by the biology you were born with. Nothing that you do is really your fault because you don't actually exist. You're just a moving clump of cells that doesn't have any real free will. Therefore, there's no point in holding you accountable for anything because you haven't actually done anything. Um, which I don't think is a good way to run a society, even if you think it's true. But yeah, uh, I think there is at least like a coherently logical argument for not holding someone accountable, even if they've done something stupid. Um,
well,
and
I
then that
think
sort of and then mixing it in with like a consequentialist argument, because from their perspective, it's like, well, I didn't really kill anyone. I killed someone that could have been someone in the future, but wasn't, and would never have been because abortion is real, and we're on this timeline, which is the singular timeline.
Well, no, I think an individual needs to hold themselves accountable,
Mm,
and that
I
society
agree.
can play a role in that, but also if the person honestly and legitimately, I don't want to say apologizes, but like repents, I guess, for lack of a better term, then forgiveness should be available.
Well, that's sort of the interesting thing with the secular movements, that I think a lot of don't hold anyone accountable comes from a deeper issue within that community, where something like, for instance, the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to the Catholic Church, you do something like, it's not like Catholics don't fuck up. It's not like Catholics don't go have, unprotected sex outside of marriage and get pregnant. They do. They make mistakes. But
Yes.
part of the function of the church is a path to redemption that allows you to still act as a moral agent in the world while fucking up. Um, the secular movement in and of itself, the rise of atheism, hasn't come with a culture surrounding it. There's no path to redemption. There's no agreement on, generalized morals, because the only thing these guys is the only thing we can agree on. Because I should include myself, because I'm an atheist too, and I recognize this is a problem with my community. Um, there's no reason for us to agree on anything, because the only thing we actually agree on when it comes down to it is we don't believe in God. That's the only thing we agree on. Um, so it's very difficult without some sort of generalized culture to hold anyone accountable for anything, because to hold someone accountable, you have to agree that they've done something wrong. To agree that they've done something wrong requires a set of morals, and having a set of morals requires agreed precepts, and we don't have that.
Yeah. It's anarchy, man.
Yeah,
Well,
it kind of is. Atheism is introducing a form of social anarchy. Um,
it's moral anarchy, I think. And I'm not trying to say
well,
that if you're an atheist, you're immoral, because I don't
well,
believe that.
well, no, I am an atheist, and I don't think that. But yeah, I think that this is something that the atheist community is, because individual atheists can be moral actors. The question becomes, can the atheist community act as a moral group?
It's a moral
And
force.
right, and so far, no, because we can't agree on anything.
Well,
So
I
it
think,
just ends up being this weird thing where it's like the social justice left versus the, libertarian left versus the libertarian right, and everyone against the fucking authoritarian right, and like everything's all fucked up and no one can agree on anything, and it's just dumb.
well, I wouldn't call myself an atheist, because I was always skeptical.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people reach their atheism through skepticism. But I was always, like, for me, I was always more skeptical than that, because people are like, well, you can't prove God exists, therefore he doesn't. And I was like, well, you can't prove he exists, but you also can't prove that he doesn't exist. And people have
Well,
offered proofs that he does and proofs that he doesn't.
to clarify, like the proper atheist position on God. Like if you're a serious atheist and you understand the argument against God basically equates like this: there is no evidence for or against God. However, in the absence of evidence for any other situation, you would say hold off for evidence, and in the meantime, assume the negative, right? Assume that that means that it doesn't exist. If you don't see the turtle in front of you, that's probably because there's not a turtle in front of you. And until you do see a turtle in front of you, you shouldn't assume that there's a turtle in front of you. So
Well,
you
if you
need to
can't,
wait for the evidence, right? You you don't say that there is no turtle in front of you. You say that there isn't a turtle in front of me that I can see currently.
well, what would you accept as evidence of God?
Uh, Honestly, it would probably have to be. I don't know, but I do know that if God is as powerful as described, I don't think it should be that hard for God to provide me the evidence. I mean, we're talking about someone that's supposed to be able to fucking create the universe in 7 days, talk to Moses through burning bushes, split the Red Sea. Like, we're talking about a pretty powerful being. And all I'm asking for is some sort of evidence that's irrefutable.
Well, you'd have to figure out what you would accept as irrefutable evidence before it could be provided.
I mean, again, we're talking about God, and we'd also be talking more about the generalized atheist community.
Right.
Um, I was actually raised Baptist, and I was not always an atheist. Um, so God knows what He needs to do to tell me what's going on. And then if that ever happens, well, all right, I guess I'm converting. But until then,
Well, there's the idea that the kingdom of God lays before us, but we can't see it. Or like people can't see God because they don't look low enough. Something like that.
well, yeah,
Now,
'cause I think you're talking about like looking underneath the underneath, right? Looking for the influence of the divine beneath what you see
sort
in the
of.
real world.
Well, it's like you have to figure out what would you accept as a proof for there to be a divine creator. Now, personally, I still have that skeptical side of me where I don't know. And so I'm going to hedge the bets, if there is no God and I believe in him, no harm, no foul. If there is a God and I believe in him, great. If there
Well,
is a
yeah, but
God
now
and
you're
I don't
using
believe in
Pascal's
him,
wager.
right?
Now you're using Pascal's wager, and there's an inherent problem with that argument. Because the problem with Pascal's wager is that Pascal assumes that the two options are Christianity or atheism. A major problem with that argument is that it's not Christianity and atheism that's the actual choice set. It's atheism versus every possible religion.
What's
There's
I
no, there's
I see
no,
it more like
well, no,
God or no God.
well, exactly. That's the problem, though, but the most religions make it very clear that it's our religion or you're going to hell, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes God or no God. You're right. So 50% no God, 50% God, and then from that 50% with God, break it out into an equal piece of the pie for every single religion.
Yeah, I understand that. But for me it's like I can't prove if someone's set on not believing something, they're not going to believe it.
True, and if they're set on believing something, they're going to find evidence no matter what.
Right. And so it's like a catch 22 sort of thing.
Which is why I've decided that my stance when it comes to God is basically, look, if he wants to prove himself, I'm right here, buddy. Go ahead. Um,
But then you have to figure out what and you may have something in your mind like
no, I definitely do. Like this is a conversation I had with God in my mind a long time ago, um, back when I was still believing. So again, he knows what to do to grab me. For other atheists, I don't know. Um, but I'm not going to go looking for the substructures because, frankly, there comes a point of looking for something and like searching and searching and searching where you're just going to find it because you've been looking for it, not because it's actually necessarily real. Like racism, for instance, in the United
well,
States.
the ancient alien guys.
Yeah, like alien guys, like Black Lives Matter activists that see racism fucking everywhere.
Right.
Like there comes a point where you look for something so hard that you see it literally everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's uh that's outside the balance, like if you I think that there's a balance to everything. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
You can
But that's why
be
I'm taking the laid back approach, going, look, I'm just going to wait for it. If it happens, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. And I'm just going to leave it open either way. But in the
right.
meantime, I'm not going to subscribe to any particular sect because I don't think any of them have it right.
That's fine. Like, well, I don't really care what anybody believes.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. Damn it! I'm gonna force it on you.
Yeah, that's right. Force me, daddy.
So I don't know how we got to God. Well, we were talking about the March for Life and everything, but speaking of a country that God hates, Venezuela, he somehow cursed this country, probably for being socialist. If there is a God, he hates socialism.
Maybe that's the real sin, refusing to take responsibility.
I think that's a sin. Like, I mean, it depends on what you believe a sin is.
I guess that
But
could be sloth. I could accept that as sloth.
yeah,
I mean,
sloth.
I think for the most part, the seven deadly sins have it pretty right.
Well, yeah, like for me, and I'm sure this could be debunked, and it probably has because I'm not a religious scholar or anything. But for me, these religious structures, and not even the structures themselves, but like these religious ideas have been around for so long that there's a reason why they've stuck around.
Absolutely.
And it's not just because people are idiots and just buy into this superstition. Though there is part of that. I think that more comes from people forgetting the reasons why things are or not being able to fully understand it. And so they just go with tradition and follow it. And then that's when you get into problems is when people follow it blindly.
Sure.
Um, but I do think that there's a reason why these ideas have continued for such a long time because they work.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a reason this particular set of ideas won, right? It's because it's
Well,
not
yeah.
like these were the only ideas available. There were an innumerable number of religions and ideologies and options and all kinds of things that could have been adopted. And I mean, in one way or another, all of them were. They just didn't work as well. That's Mother Nature for you. Mother Nature doesn't give a fuck about racism. Mother Nature doesn't give a fuck about anything except efficiency.
Well, yeah, nature is 100% equality. It will kill you no matter what.
Yeah, it will fuck over everyone actively as hard as it can. And if you survive, good for you, buddy.
Well, I do think that there's an idea in that, because if you look at like socialism or like people like hardcore communists and socialists, is that they want equality. They want everything to be equal, and the suffering is probably the greatest thing that will make everybody equal.
Oh, good. Yay.
It's something we all share. Like I I do believe that suffering is unavoidable in life. You're at some point you're going to
That's if you're a
suffer.
socialist.
Well, we all die eventually.
I mean, you don't have to suffer to die. Like, you can shoot yourself in the back of the head.
Well, life is great, but you die. Like it ends.
I
And we all
mean,
know that.
sure. Isn't that part of the fun?
There's more people there's people who have more suffering than others. And so
Yeah,
I
like, I
guess
mean, I'm pretty sure I have it the worst in the entire world. Those fucking child soldiers in Rwanda, meh.
nothing on me.
Fucking nothing on me. Like, I know that those ladies that are complaining about being in rape camps, meh.
You mean universities? 1 in 4 women.
All right, that was the worst joke than mine. Fuck's sake.
So talking about putting people in camps. So this Venezuela stuff. Now I only heard about this today.
Maduro. Dude, oh, is that not our guy? Okay, hold
No, Trump, president of Venezuela.
on. Make
Um,
Venezuela great again, bitches.
right? Wouldn't it be great if uh, Juan Guaido, um, the opposition leader, just started that
Just
make
never say it.
Venezuela.
Just make sure never to say his name around Italians.
Yeah,
Dude,
I get it.
okay, I was like, do you understand that joke?
I'm like, I'm Italian. I'm not, but or I have no idea. I'm Northern European, not Southern European.
Dude, I seriously want Guido to walk out there with just like a hat that literally says
Some
"Making Venezuela Great Again." I want that.
we should. I think it's out there. I've heard it before. But
Please, please get this dude to wear that. That would I am so on his side if he does that.
well, to me, this story should be a big deal.
Should
But
be,
I
isn't.
haven't heard a lot about it, and I only heard about it today. Um, is that one? There were thousands of people. Did you see the photo
Oh yeah, out in Venezuela.
of the yeah
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the people in the streets? Like we think we have big crowds here. This was like women's march, huge.
Back when it was cool.
Yeah, the original. Um, Millions of people. It was the greatest march ever. It was the
Except,
best.
except for all the Jews, they can get out.
Um, I disavow.
It's
So,
because they're the anti-Semites. Come on,
well, they were opposing. Yeah, they've internalized their oppression.
and turned it into Jew hating somehow.
um, so they were out protesting Maduro.
Yeah.
And they were supporting Juan Guaido, which is what I'm going to call it.
Okay, look, someone's last name it can't be a racial slur. That's not even fair.
It's not Guido, it's Guaido.
I disavow.
Um, Guaido. How do you say that?
She
I'll put
say
it
it
in the
again.
chat. Guiado. Maybe it's the other way around. Guaido.
Guido?
Yeah, that guy, Mr. Guaido. 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 We're gonna get. Did you
Guido.
did you hear the stories on Martin Luther King Jr. Day of all the or of the guy who accidentally said Martin Luther Coon,
Oh my god.
and
I
I think
disavow.
he got fired.
Yeah, oh the weather reporter? Yeah.
Yeah, that poor
Yeah.
guy. Um,
And then fucking CNN does it and everybody's like,
well, we're
nobody
gonna
cares.
have we're gonna get kicked off YouTube for this guy's name, Guaido. The social justice Italians will come
Guido.
after us.
I'm calling him Guido.
I'm just gonna call him by his first name, Juan. Um,
President
anyway,
Juan.
right. He's the official president, sort of, but
He's the interim president, numero Juan.
he's the he's the opposition leader who's opposing Maduro. Um,
How can he be the opposition leader? He's fucking Maduro's successor.
Juan Guaido? No,
Well, he was second. He was like because that's like the line of succession over there in Venezuela. That's why he's interim.
well, yeah, he's the head of like what would essentially be our chamber of our what is it? He's head of their, I guess, parliament or whatever it is.
I just realized, does Venezuela not have a vice president?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how Venezuela's. They're socialist, man. They don't have vice presidents. It's a dictatorship.
Damn.
Well, who's second? The real second in line is this guy, this Vladimir Lopez. because he's the defense minister.
I'm sorry, Vladimir Lopez.
Yes, he's the defense minister of Venezuela.
Please tell me his middle name is like T'Challa or something.
No, it's
Or Huga.
Padrino.
What is a Padrino?
Vladimir Padrino Lopez.
A Padrino sounds like some sort of like fucking photon particle.
Well, probably means like father or something. I don't know.
I just discovered a new fucking type of atom piece. It's called a Padrino.
It's the one that's inside the Higgs boson.
Padrino number 1.
All right. Enough jokes. More jokes. The people want it. Anyway, he's the defense minister.
Politics, it needs jokes, all right?
He declared, well, yeah, this is a very serious story, so we need to lighten it up.
All right.
Because it could get even more serious. And I don't know why this isn't a bigger story. Maybe it will be later, but when we're done yelling at teenagers for smirking. But so the U.S. is backing Juan Guaido, and
good.
The defense minister, who's the head of the military, he's declared loyalty to Nicolas Maduro.
Wait a minute. Our media is with Guaido?
Our country.
Okay, I was about to say if CNN's with Guaido, I'm with Maduro. I don't know what the fuck, but
if CNN likes it, it must be bad.
I mean, seriously, at this point, like they're off the fucking wall. If I get called an NPC for not liking CNN, I'll be very upset. CNN man bad.
CNN man bad. Do you ever look at the live chat?
Hold up. Let me pull it up.
We don't have a ton of people, but it's all, they always have some good stuff going on in there.
Let me have a look, because you had the link posted in the chat, right? Back on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just pull that up.
It'll play on your headphones too.
And you were yelling at me for not being ready. There we go. Just so you guys know, my co-host here is very mean and yells at me actively.
All the time. I'm badass.
There we go. Okay, cool.
Sounds like a Boondocks episode, to be honest. That's great. You guys are great.
What does?
No, that's what somebody said in the live chat. We've made Boondocks references on this show before. But anyway, back to Venezuela. Or, we keep trying to leave Venezuela just like everybody who lives there. So the United States, let's see. I wrote down who all is with with Juan Guaido and who's backing Maduro. So it's Argentina, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Peru, Ecuador, Guatemala, and the Organization of American States have all recognized Mr. Guaido as the country's leader. And then others, it just said others in the region have not. So Mexico, Cuba, and Bolivia are allies of Maduro. So this is where it kind of gets a little scary. And we're not even to the scary, but this is where it starts to kind of bring in shades of, I don't know, like World War I kind of stuff. Russia has warned the United States against meddling in Venezuela because Russia is an ally of Venezuela, mostly for the oil, I'm sure.
Also, I was reading what Manley put in the chat. He's actually right. We should consider promoting on Minds. I think we probably would get a little bit more engagement there. There's more growth opportunities.
Sweet, we can do that. We'll look into that.
Okay.
Minds.
Have you never heard of Minds before?
No, I know. I've heard of Minds. I've just never checked it out.
Okay.
I don't have a Minds account, so I mostly put everything on Facebook. So I guess I'm trying to capture the boomer audience. But yeah, that's
great. Chasing the old algorithms. Good job.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter or anything like that, but Minds would be cool. I think there's a good community there. But anyway, so Russia is the pot calling the kettle black, essentially, by saying that the U.S. shouldn't get involved. Excuse me.
Russia, one of the most fucking involved superpowers in the world.
So Putin,
how dare anyone else get involved?
Putin, of invading Crimea fame.
Yeah, exactly.
He called Maduro and, quote, emphasized that destructive external interference is a gross violation of the fundamental norms of international law. What?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck, but
that only applies when, he can use it against somebody else. It doesn't apply to him. It's a rule for thee and not for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he had this to say about the Maduro regime. He said his regime is morally bankrupt, it's economically incompetent, and profoundly corrupt, and is undemocratic to the core. So he seems pretty woke on this issue. Woke. So the U.S. is, backing the Juan Guaido, and they've offered $2 million in emergency aid to him, and they've requested an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. So this prompted, with the U.S. coming out backing Guaido, it prompted Maduro to cut ties with the U.S., and he ordered all U.S. diplomats to leave within 72 hours. Now, we're not sure if they are going to, and if they don't, what happens. That's not clear. But Maduro, he urged the U.S. to heed his call to withdraw all his all diplomats by this weekend. So we'll see on Monday, probably, if anything comes of this, if that happens or not. But he said,
fuck you. Don't fucking take out the diplomats. Leave them right where they are. The man has no credibility.
Well, yeah, I would remove the diplomats' families for sure, and then leave their.
Now, see, here's what you do. You take out all the diplomats and then immediately replace them with the biggest, buffest Marines we've got.
With SEAL Team 6.
Yes, we replace our diplomats with SEAL Team 6.
That's the diplomacy I like.
That's the best kind of diplomacy.
Team America.
We will rain freedom down from above. Possibly in C4 form.
Maduro basically just told everybody to hit the bricks.
Yeah.
And I think people were kind of expecting the military to not back Maduro, but they seem to be all in for Maduro. At least that's kind of how it appears. Now that might lead to smaller units might defect, because if I don't think the military. Well, no, I don't think the military wants to combat their own civilians.
I mean, you never know. It wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time, but I think you would end up splintering some of the military. There'd be definitely soldiers who would leave and go fight with the other guys.
It really depends on how you do it. I think Nazi Germany really is like the pretty much the model for the fact that you can convince your soldiers to all go along with the idea of attacking your own population.
Well, it wasn't even just the soldiers; it was just convincing the population, essentially.
True, yeah.
Because the people, well, and the people who were soldiers were like, before that they were bakers, and then several months later they were taking pregnant women out into the field and shooting them in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Like, it can happen. But I don't know, like,
Ordinary Man, ordinary,
yeah.
Ordinary Man, the most boring book in the universe.
Or not.
That's my recommendation. Read the most boring book in the universe. No, read Ordinary Men. It's actually a great book.
Well, and because like we talk about this in the United States, if there were a civil war or like the government tried to take over, like try to oppress people, what would the military do? And so that is a question here. Like, if Maduro orders the military to attack the civilians, are they going to comply? I do think that there is a moral quandary there, but I do think the military, like the institution of military in general, where you have like a rigid hierarchy, can lend itself more to that sort of corruption than anything else.
Oh yeah, I think ultimately the military as a group, even if they had defectors, would follow the orders. If the leadership is saying that they're siding with Maduro, if Maduro gives an order and the military go and the leaders go with it, most likely most of the military will follow.
Yeah. Well, I think with what Padrino is saying here, the defense minister, he says that we're here to avoid a clash between Venezuelans. It's not a civil war, a war among brothers that will resolve Venezuela's problems. And so I think he's either attempting to come across as if he doesn't want to fight in order to gain more popularity, or he legitimately doesn't want to fight. And it could be both.
There you go, Manly. I just saw his comment. That's the perfect solution. We just send the Venezuelan military a bunch of memes, so they're just too distracted to go attack civilians.
Well, yeah, we'll get them all.
Perfect.
Get them all hooked on social media. It'll be fine.
That's right. We'll get them all on Facebook and depressed by Twitter.
Oh man, put them on Tumblr.
But there's no porn on Tumblr anymore.
I was gonna say,
now.
Oh, never mind.
Like, Tumblr just went lame.
If we get them all on Tumblr, then they might have a common enemy. And so, but Padrino also said that, quote, a de facto parallel government lacks legal standing and popular backing. And he also added that the opposition had, quote, dark aim of sowing chaos and anarchy in our society. This kind of sounds like what those filthy capitalists are doing this. And I don't know necessarily that is true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be true. It wouldn't be the first time, to be honest. But
well,
also, I don't know if it kind of depends on who started it. Did this start because Western countries started interfering and started this sort of revolution? Or did this revolution start and Western countries got behind it?
I mean, I think that some of the implication that we're seeing is that part of the problem here began because of Western influence, but I think enough socialist countries have proven themselves that they don't need us to totally implode.
Right.
Like we don't need to be involved for these guys to just totally shit the bed. Now we're involved because it's actually a problem, and it's gonna don't get it twisted. The fact that Venezuela is having all these problems is not just going to stay in Venezuela. Like it's going to cause
Right.
problems for other surrounding countries, which is going to cause problems for other surrounding countries, which means eventually it's going to come back to us and it's going to hurt our economy. Like it's not a good thing for us that a major player in South America is having problems. It's a bad thing for us.
Right. And Russia has accused the U.S. of promoting regime change in Venezuela, and they are warning of catastrophic consequences
Oh, fuck you, Russia.
of destabilizing the country. Right.
Yeah, we
I mean,
know. That's why we didn't do it.
right. Uh, but I think, Russia needs to respect the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah, Russia can talk to us when they fucking give Crimea back about regime
This is our
change.
hemisphere.
Yeah, seriously. You got your own hemisphere. We didn't bother you too much about your fucking bullshit. So shut up.
Well, yeah, the Russian foreign minister. There were lots of good quotes in this article, and I just kept writing them down. But he said,
Uh-huh.
quote, signals coming from certain capitals indicating the possibility of external military interference looks particularly disquieting. We warn against such reckless actions which threaten catastrophic consequences. And so to me, like, is that does that sound like a threat?
I mean, more like a warning, really. But as far as like governmental things, warnings and threats are pretty similar.
Well, to me,
So,
it kind of sounds like maybe Russia's saying, look, if you go in there and try to sort this out, we're going to go in there too.
yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that what Russia always does? Like, we try and go in somewhere and try to be the fucking global police for some reason. And then Russia is like, no, this is our stuff now.
Well, yeah, it's like
So,
who would you rather have? Uh,
destroying your country.
right, who would you rather have
And
attempting regime change in your country, Russia or the United States?
that's right, mainly. This is our hemisphere, you fucking Slavs.
Build a wall
Build the wall in
across
front of Russia.
the Atlantic Ocean. That's it.
Frosty the Wall
A,
of
a
Snowman.
giant ocean isn't enough. We need a wall too.
We need a wall right in the middle of the ocean,
Um,
all the way to the stratosphere.
so I don't know who. I think this is the Russian foreign minister, Mr. Lavrov. Um, he said that the United States and some other countries have recognized the self-proclaimed president shows that they played a direct role in the crisis in Venezuela. Um, adding that a country with two presidents would lead to, quote, chaos and instability. Now, some of the stuff that they're saying is true. Like, I agree that, like, if you have two presidents, there's going to be chaos and instability. That's true.
I really hope that just to add to that, Guaido, just whatever Maduro says, he just says the exact opposite.
That would be awesome.
Just to make it impossible to know what the right thing to do at any given moment is. It's like, yeah, I say yes, well, I say no, and everybody else in the middle is like, so do we just say maybe? Like, what do we do?
Maybe. Yeah, I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
do both.
To me, this, like I said, this sounds a little like troubling. Not necessarily like
Yeah,
I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Don't get me wrong, because I'm an American privileged son of a bitch that way. Um, but it does seem to me, it does seem like that there might be some serious problems that come from this, and
yeah,
especially so close to our continent, or close to our continent. We're linked pretty much. Um,
barely.
well, I think it's just going to, like, the war in Syria was used as oh, we got to let all the migrants into Europe. The war in Venezuela means, well, we got to let all the migrants in to the United States from South and Central America. And we've already seen.
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying that there's like a plan, but I'm saying that there are similarities.
Oh no, I can see the similarities. I'm just thinking along the lines of like I really don't see America really being okay with taking in all these people.
Well, not with our current president. To me,
True.
this is just another reason why I think we need to build the wall. All joking aside, I do think a wall would be beneficial.
And it needs to be 60 feet tall and made of solid gold.
Just say Trump, the Trump wall.
That's right. Yeah, solid gold wall with the Trump name spelled out in iron.
Yes. Our iron wall with Trump name spelled out in gold.
It was pretty funny when the Dalai Lama told the migrants in Europe to go back.
Look, the Dalai Lama's on our side.
I mean, that's true. We have the moral high ground. Have you heard the Dalai Lama?
Yeah,
Come on.
he doesn't even use hand sanitizer because he doesn't want to kill the germs on his hands.
Is that true?
I don't know. I heard that a long time ago. I don't know if that's actually true.
Oh man, that's funny.
We'll look it up later.
I support all life, even literal viruses.
He doesn't take antibiotics, doesn't do that. He's an anti-vaxxer.
I respect polio's right to live.
I mean, I guess that could be part of the balance, you know? You got to have some sort of population control. I don't believe in that.
He respects polio more than people. Holy shit.
Fake news. This is fake news.
Fake news. I've disavowed the Dalai Lama.
Well,
Bad Dalai Lama.
Here's where it also gets interesting is that as recently as December, Russia dispatched a small group of aircraft to Venezuela in a show of solidarity with Maduro. Now, this included 2 Tu-160 nuclear-capable bombers that flew more than 6,000 miles.
I'm sorry, did you say nuclear?
Yes. Nuclear.
You fucking pleb. All right, go on.
How do you say it?
Nuclear.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you said nuclear. Like you're a fucking surfer boy.
I do live on the West Coast.
Oh my god. Fucking continue. I forgive you.
Well, Venezuela has been one of the largest markets for Russian arms, too.
Oh my god, how did they get a hold of so many Russian arms?
Oil money.
Wait, didn't the Russians object? Like, I feel like most Russians, like even Russians, like they want their arms.
That's what the Gulag system was for.
How are they supposed to jack off?
They have prostitutes to do that for them.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Putin mentioned that. They do have some dope prostitutes.
State sponsored.
State sponsored, right.
The other big player, China. Now it kind of surprised me since they are a communist country. They've stayed neutral on this.
I thought they went in for Maduro.
They have supported Venezuela's leftist government in the past, but the article that I read from the New York Times, the failing New York Times, so take it for what it is, said that their enthusiasm has dimmed in recent years because of Venezuela's economy started to fail, and they're super interested in the oil. And so without the oil, there's not really much in Venezuela for them. I mean, they might be communist, but maybe they're like practical. That's why they've been able to survive.
Yeah.
So, China's forest minister, jeez, spent 2 hours of this. China's foreign minister remained neutral. He said that, quote, or they said that he hopes that all sides would, quote, resolve their political differences through dialogue and consultation premised on respect for constitutional government. So he wants them to just talk it out, essentially.
If by discussion and resolution he means cluster bombs and napalm, then yes, I agree.
No, we'll see. Like, I think this is something worth
I will bring
watching.
freedom by the sword.
I think this Venezuela thing is something worth watching. It should be bigger news, but since the mainstream media won't report on it, we will, motherfuckers.
The fucking failing New York Times. Hey, New York Times, do you have one person watching your live stream? No.
Nope, nobody watches their failing New York Times.
That's right. Do you guys even have a live stream? No. This is a high quality investment we fucking made. Look, we're just going to ignore that. We might be fake news right now, but I'm not going to worry about that.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything that we had for tonight.
We may or may not be fake news.
And we try not to be fake news. We'll admit when we're wrong, at least. It doesn't matter if we're factually right, as long as we're morally right.
That's right. God damn it, are we morally right?
So that's everything that we've had for tonight, unless you had something else.
Anyone want to go hook up with some Russian hookers?
No, thank you.
Are you sure? I've heard they're the best. It's a pretty big deal.
That everyone says that.
Everyone tells you that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's great. Everyone says so. Just ask anybody. They'll tell you. It's just like Trump. You just got to keep complimenting them ad nauseum.
I see.
That's probably one of my favorite things about Trump is how he just like compliments somebody so fucking much.
Just everyone all the time.
Right. Like if you're around him and he likes you, man, it must be great.
Right?
He's like, he's such a great guy. He's such a great guy. I love this guy. He's so amazing. He's awesome. You can ask anybody that. They'll tell you that. It's true. Believe it.
Fuck yeah. What is he, Naruto? Can we please? All I want for Christmas next year is fucking Trump running around with his hands pinned, with like his arms pinned behind his back, just screaming, "Believe it!
Believe it!"
That's what I want for Christmas next year.
If we had a bigger audience, I'd ask the live chat to make that happen. But
mainly, it's all on you. You got to make this shit happen.
Look, we just got to put it out in the universe. It'll come. If you
That's
believe
right. I want Naruto Trump. Please.
Naruto Trump 2020. All right, now we're making Naruto references. It's time to go to bed.
We're officially done. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you everybody who listened and commented in the live chat. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys all next Thursday.
Yeah, we start every Thursday. We go from 9 o'clock for about 2 hours. So peace. We should